Why did Communist China close one of the biggest pro-democratic newspapers in Hong Kong? Did a Chinese politician really escape to the US? Does Poland have any chances to benefit from the relations with China? And what does the existence of CCP for 100 years mean to the world? This is Against the Tide TV. Welcome. Hello, my name is Hanna Jazgarska. My special guest today is Mr. Elmer Yuen. He's an activist, a businessman supporting pro-democratic movement in Hong Kong. He's an anti-communist activist. Thank you very much, sir, for being with us.
Thank you.
Sir, let's talk first about what is going on in Hong Kong right now. Apple Daily ceases to operate in Hong Kong. And do you think it is the end of free press in Hong Kong?
Hong Kong, we have to look at the overall. Hong Kong is like West Berlin before, has its own freedom, but kind of appreciated and guaranteed by the whole world. And then all of a sudden you have the communists taking over West Berlin. As simple as that. So the European or the West European and the American were very concerned about West Berlin. They're also concerned about Hong Kong, but they have not come to the point they are willing to maintain the freedom of Hong Kong, like the West Berlin. So a little bit shameful because freedom is the same regardless of the race. So we lost our last newspaper, free press, Apple Daily. And the chairman, the owner of the company, got arrested two and a half months ago. His whole private asset, means his money, frozen. And not only that, last week when they arrested the other 5 editorial people from the Apple Daily, they also froze the bank account for the company. So the company has money, almost $100 million in reserve, but they cannot use it because it's frozen. So, and also the communists are threatening to arrest and imprison more people or charge more people for this, basically for working with the outsiders, working with foreigners. And how can any newspaper or media in Hong Kong not working with the foreigners? So they are scared of more arrests. The communists were threatening arresting 100 more reporters. So in order to keep the safety of the reporters, they made a decision yesterday to shut down the entire paper and keep their Taiwan branch open. So they are still publishing newspaper, doing media network in Taiwan, but the Hong Kong is completely closed. This is set up a very bad precedent in 2 ways. Of course, you know, removing the freedom of press is not forgivable, number one. But on top of that, the communists wanted to keep Hong Kong as a financial center. And to be a financial center, you have to protect people's money, right? By freezing Apple Daily's bank account, and also by freezing Mr. Lai, Jimmy Lai's bank account. They basically, without going through the court system, all right, they just directly tell the bank to freeze the account. This is a tremendous problem to Hong Kong as a financial center. I mean, nobody wants to be in a place where the police or the government can freeze your asset anytime and without going through the judiciary process. And as you know, if you look at the whole Europe, why is UK such a good place as a financial center? Because they practice common law, where you are innocent until you are proven guilty. meaning they have to prove you guilty before they freeze your money. So that's why in Europe, overall continental Europe, you don't have much of a capital market. And this is, so of course Hong Kong lost our freedom. You see, this is the Hong Kong flag, but the t-shirt is in black. So you understand what I mean. Anyway, we saw it coming. This is the way communists work. You have lots of experience. And fortunately, you have freedom now. And we lost ours.
Sir, I'm very sorry to hear about what is happening in Hong Kong. Referring to the situation of Hong Kongers, Wall Street Journal published a piece lately about 5 Hong Kongers who fled by speedboat and finally found freedom in the US. It really shows how desperate young Hong Kongers are, and it seems the West can do nothing to help Hong Kong. Sir, how do you see this? Is Hong Kong really lost to the free world?
Totally lost and hopeless. That's why I don't talk too much about how Hong Kong can recover. As long as the Chinese Communist Party is in power in China, or the world allow the Chinese Communist Party to exist, the world will have no peace. Not an issue of Hong Kong or mainland or anywhere. It's the whole world. You can see from the pandemics and also what happened to the financially, economically to the world. Nobody knows how much money we lost, the whole world. And just a very rough estimate, maybe $30 trillion. The world lost $30 trillion. It's a lot of money. And died over 3 million, going to be 4 million soon. And we don't even know how many people died in China because they never tell the truth. So let's say close to 4 million. Tell me, what can happen more serious than that? In the meantime, they are developing more poisonous or more potent virus. I mean, this is the virus that leaked from the lab. But they were developing over 100 viruses. Some are much, much stronger or much more infectious and much more deadly than the one we have around. You can see it's already, we have what, Delta Plus? And if man can make Delta Plus, in the lab they can also speed up and make a Delta Plus or even Delta Plus plus plus. So you can understand it's way far from over, right? And the world is trying to isolate China, as you can see from the G7 and the NATO meeting in London, Brussels, and so on. So far, in a way, it's being kind of, there's an intention to contain China. Unless we can isolate and blockade, meaning nothing coming in and out of China, blockade of people, blockade of all merchandise, blockade of all visas, blockade of all flights and ships from China. We have to force them to give up communism, because communism, as you know, is global domination. Imagine what if the West has not developed vaccine? What if they just do it the normal way, which takes at least 4 to 5 years? Today, China would have achieved global dominance already, because the whole world will be begging China to sell them vaccine. Even though their vaccine is not so good, but then it's better than nothing. So imagine if they can do it without using a single bullet. I think in my last few interviews, I mentioned about unrestricted warfare. This vaccine, China Wuhan virus, is a very, very good example of unrestricted warfare. And it was a warfare started by accident. What if they intentionally start a warfare, such as virus or something else? What the world is going to do? We are totally unprepared. And then In your country, you still have people who want to do business with them and make some money. I mean, what a joke. I mean, I cannot understand. People still, the problem is it's not their opinion. Some politicians, mainly the administrative part of the politicians, have taken bribes, all right? And some really believe that they can achieve, the country can benefit from China. And then so that their political position can be raised. But honestly speaking, people have started waking up. I'm sure the Polish people knows how harmful, because they know communism. All these things that the CCP are doing, the Polish people can see it right away because they have very, very bad experience. They know how the behavior pattern of communism, how they lie, how they try to dominate. Of course, Poland was only a victim, but how the Soviet Union used to work. I mean, without the U.S., without Ronald Reagan, there will be global dominance. China their aim is to use unrestricted warfare for global dominance. And the Wuhan virus is only one. And it's not, it's started by accident, but then they let it go. And it became a very, very good, for them, it's a very good weapon. And then taking down Donald Trump, they were very, very heavily involved. They bought Dominion and Smartmatic, so they were very involved with the counting machine, all right? And of course, working together with Wall Street, the Democratic Party, Hollywood, the major media, the social media, and then all the academic, including Dr. Fauci, who control basically all the health issue in the United States. All these people are corrupted, and which means they can do a lot more. And unfortunately, Americans are waking up. Maybe right now, 60 to 70% understand the communists are vicious. And so they are electing congressmen, they're electing congressmen who are willing to stand up against the communists. And I hope in your country, your people will only elect or vote for those representative parliamentarians or candidates who are anti-communist. It has to be decoupled to be safe. Be very, very careful for all that money they lend you, or the project they say you can pay later. Same thing. I have just I work with the Committee for Present Danger, China. Right? It's a U.S. think tank advising, conservative think tank. We have done an exercise. How many countries owe money to China or to CCP? China, same thing. They control the country. And we draw a world map, a global atlas. You'll be surprised. I couldn't believe it. Very, very few people, countries, nations do not owe money to China. And I'm including United States of America. Tell me, give me a very few countries that do not owe money to China. All right, that is the point. And whoever owes them money, at least you are not going to vote against them when it comes to a UN vote or some kind of vote. You don't want to condemn your banker or your creditor, right? That's a way of life. People lend you money, you are going to tell him that you are a bad person or bad country? Never. So they already have achieved over 80% global domination. Some people who do not owe money to the CCP, they are trying to stand up, and elect certain officials or elect certain congressmen, but they are very weak. It's coming up. It's coming up slowly. But if we don't wake up, it's going to be global dominance. They are making U.S. Can you believe it? U.S. is still lending them more money. The bond market is so active. It's up by 170% from U.S. lending money to China, all right, to a corporation or to whatever. So it's the same. So 70% up this year, first quarter. So they have the money to lend, and then they enslave those countries one belt, one road, meaning these countries under one belt, one road, you will own the money because they say, I bill you this, I bill you that, you can pay later, I can pay from the revenue, and later on you don't pay, very good. Okay, you do certain things for me, and then in the meantime, you vote for me at UN, and you keep in the WHO, you keep your mouth shut. That's the way it works. Hong Kong is not the issue. The issue is the world. US, as you know, many corrupt officials, such as Anthony Fauci, all right, many. And then look what they've done. The report signed by 24 scientists. Basically, they have corrupted the entire medical science community, right? And so many more. I don't even have to say. You know, I give you. I know case by case. It's really serious, and I hope. I think Polish vote in the European Union is very important because you are staunch anti-communist country, but you never know. You know, everybody needs money to operate. So all this money China made, it didn't go to the people or to the businessmen. All that money is kept by the Communist Party. They gave their funny money to the people called RMB, and they keep all that foreign currency, euros or US dollars or Japanese yen, and that money they use to corrupt all the politicians in the world and also lend all the countries money. So it's the most powerful weapon without a single bullet. So militarily, of course, NATO is so strong, but they don't have to fight a military war. They took down the U.S. president. All right, it's a coup, very obvious. And then they used the pandemic. So far, didn't shoot a single bullet. And then because the world owes them so much money, they are the de facto money controller. U.S. is not. U.S. because barred by the Constitution, they cannot use the money capital as a weapon. They don't. It's just not in their way of life. So in a way, all those world countries, indebted countries, only listen to China, not to U.S.
So, thank you. Speaking of the American...
The 5 young people escaped Hong Kong by speedboat, went to the Dongsha Island, which is south of Taiwan, and they were rescued, and then left there about 8 to 10 months ago. And the U.S. Department of State called me, and I was one of their sponsors, all right, because they want to come to the United States. And finally, the 5 of them reached consensus and was able to go through maybe Switzerland and then came to U.S. last week, which is a good thing because U.S. has more potential. I'm sure there are so many Polish immigrants to U.S. But after the 5, there were 12 young people who were arrested in water and sent to China and were detained for a long time. And now they are back in Hong Kong, already facing sentence. And so that basically the ocean route is not stopped. You cannot get out. And Hong Kong, if they want to keep you, they can first keep your money by freeze your money in the bank, just by a phone call. And then when you go to the airport or go to any frontier, it's very simple with today's computer that your name is there and you will never get out. So they control your freedom, they control your money.
Sir, you mentioned the coronavirus pandemic earlier. U.S. President Joe Biden ordered an investigation into the virus origin. Do you think that his administration is able to hold China accountable for the pandemic?
I have doubt. What happened is China have corrupted so many people in the States, so many politicians and so on, like I said before. And inside the Wall Street, the academic field, the CDC, the NIH, and so on. So there was not one but several defectors brought with them information that has the list of corrupted U.S. officials, all the academic world and so on. They had the list, and they were very smart. They didn't go to CIA. The defectors went straight to the Department of Defense, basically to the military, because the military at least are less corrupted. All right, they don't have a kind of a business relationship or diplomatic or official relationship with China. Not much, right? So they are less corrupted. So over there in the last few months, they've given all the information to the military, and the military were very smart. They were keeping a secret until all has been done. Then they start releasing to certain committee of the Congress in secret, because they're afraid those people who came, the defectors, may die, and those people who knows the information may die. So the present administration is very, very scared, because it can take down so many people. Just, for example, the president's son. And I mean, it's no longer news. Everybody knew he was corrupted. So all that information, both Joe Biden was very, very scared. So in order not to let it come out all at once, he ordered a 90-day investigation. Means don't tell me anything, don't disclose anything. Keep everything under wrap for 90 days. And then they have time to say who are we against, who are to review and what not to review. It's an obvious delay tactic, you know. All this under U.S. information should come out first, and then you do your investigation. You understand? That's different from communism. Communists, you investigate and you decide what to review and what not to review. So I'm very, very skeptical about this 90-day investigation. They already have all the information from their own source and from the defectors, so they can easily piece everything together. To be honest with you, a year ago, they know everything, but there are certain elements inside the Trump administration who still want to appease China, right? And they were holding back the investigation. And when Joe Biden started, he refused to even call this a Chinese virus or Wuhan virus, right? It has to be called a COVID virus. So he refused to investigate. He refused to go after the Chinese. Now, because of these defectors, the thing became very serious, because once they go, defectors have plenty of evidence, all right? And all these internal and COVID and virus is one of the many weapons that these information they came to U.S. with information. So these are very, very deadly information. So Joe Biden needs to control and pick and choose what to go after. I don't think it's really too late for them not to investigate, because the whole world is very angry at G7, at NATO, at the meeting with Brussels, and so on and so forth. So the whole world is so angry. They cannot simply say, stop the investigation into the lab theory. But there is no question it's a bioweapon. Can you believe, you ask your older generation, would they believe that the communists will stop developing biochemical weapons? Would they ever do that? Never. This is in their blood, in their genes. It's such an effective and cheap weapon. Whatever they sign don't mean anything. Have the Soviet ever stopped developing bioweapons? Simple as that. And the Chinese communists have less resource, less weaponry. So to them, this is the most cost-effective weapon in the world. Thank you.
Sir, another question. Recently, there have been rumors that a high-rank Chinese official fled to the U.S. Do you think that in the hands of the American intelligence, there is a Chinese defector who has damaging evidence regarding the true origin of the coronavirus?
There are more than one. And then the information is very complete and multifaceted. Not only the virus, all right? Many, many areas, the information, and it's more than one. This one is from the military information, meaning National Security Bureau. And there are other ones, which we don't have the names. And but what happened in China, what Xi Jinping has done, he's decided to go to follow the Mao Zedong way of a radical left, meaning he is going like doing something like the Cultural Revolution. And most of the Communist Party members, the high officials, which are the high officials, they have been making a lot of corruption money before in the last 20 years. And suddenly their source of corrupt revenue has stopped. And then lots of them have been arrested and went to jail. So these people are very unhappy. So they are working with the Biden administration, trying to remove Xi Jinping, then go back to the good old days and let everybody get rich, all right, through corruption. So these Xi Jinping's opposition are sending a lot of information to US and to their major media, trying to remove Xi Jinping, both from outside and inside China. Inside, they are going to have a 20th they call the plenary. It means all the party members together, they will hold a meeting end of next year. So if they decided not to re-elect Xi Jinping, of course Xi Jinping is doing all kinds of work behind the scene, but if they decided not to elect him, then he will be removed, and they will put on some moderate or business-friendly party leaders, and go back to the good old days. So this is what happened. Definitely, there are defectors, serious defectors. Even without defectors, they've been forwarding all that information to US, and of course Biden behind him. There is Obama, there's Susan Rice, there is Hillary Clinton, there is Pelosi, and then the Congress Majority Leader Schumer. So those people are all behind it. So basically, they are back in they want to return to the Obama good old days, where everybody makes a lot of money, including the rich family, the powerful family in China. So it's a joint venture.
Let's move to the topic of Polish-Chinese relations. Poland has a huge trade deficit with China. We have Chinese agents operating in Poland and strong Chinese influence in the media. Yet, a few days ago, our Minister of Foreign Affairs said that our policy towards China is not to lead to tensions with that country. Do you think that policy of appeasement will do any good to Poland?
You see, this is the thing. The CCP say, you owe me money, all right? You can pay a little bit slower. You can pay me back a little bit slower. In the meantime, I'll lend you more money. You know, I'm not trying to insult any female. You know why people become prostitute and why people become drug addict? Because they owe money to the mafia. They have to do what they tell them to do. Otherwise, their drug habit, there's no more money coming, and then in the meantime, there's pressure to pay back the loans. This is how it works with the personal and with nation. It's no different. So they have to do. This is the worst. Let me tell you, I have a solution. You should tell your politician, go to America. Hopefully, not Biden. Go to the new American president. Tell them that all your claim against China for the COVAX, you are going to surrender to USA. All right. But in the meantime, they take over all your debt with China. This is the way to buy back your independence. You have no independence as of now. This is how bad it is. Your foreign policy is kind of dictated or secretly dictated by the CCP because you owe them money and you're willing to accept more money or more projects, whatever you call them.
And my last question today. On July 1st, the CCP will celebrate its 100th year anniversary. So its propaganda spreads the news of how greatly the CCP contributed to China and the lives of Chinese people. But my question is, what has really the rule of CCP meant for Chinese and for Hong Kongers?
China has been a very rich country for thousands of years without CCP. We are a very, very rich country. That's why, Marco Polo came, and then all these foreigners came to do business. All right, because we're very rich. We have beautiful products, valuable products. We have porcelain, we have gunpowder, we have silk, we have tea. So we have never been poor until the communists came. They basically took away all the wealth and then used the wealth to build weapons. And then the poor people never get rich. They always say, oh, we take money from the rich and give it to the poor. The poor became poorer and the rich became poor. That's the system. And now suddenly, even with that, they were going bankrupt. So in 1977, Deng Xiaoping said that, oh, we have to open up China and give them freedom to do business. What does that mean? That means let the Chinese people make their own living. It has nothing to do with communism. We know how to take care of ourselves. We know how to make money. We know how to trade with the world. We've done it for thousands of years. And we don't need the communists to teach us how to get rich. So that's why it was very successful in the last 25 years. And the Chinese economy took off. Now the communists were actually a burden to the economy. They took all the elite of China and forced them into working for the government, working for the party, working for the military. So we have the less elite who are willing to take a risk to do business, to work as a private enterprises. But even that, we have enriched. China have risen because of those hardworking people. And on top of that, we have capital from Hong Kong, from Japan, from Taiwan, from Europe, and eventually from the United States. Capital, if you study communism, capital and talented people will make a successful economy. That's what happened. And of course, they claim credit. Without communists, nothing's going to happen. Let me tell you, without communism, we get very, very rich. Look at Poland today. People have a much better standard of living than under communism. It's so obvious. I don't need to lie to you. But of course, since the communists control all the media, they claim credit for everything that's doing well. Let me tell you, without communism in China, our GDP will be at least 3 to 4 times of today. Trust me.
Sir, thank you very much for your words. Thank you very much for this conversation, and special thanks to Hannah Shen, our correspondent in Taiwan, for making this interview possible. My special guest today was Mr. Elmer Yuen, an anti-communist activist and businessman supporting pro-democratic movement in Hong Kong. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your interview.
This was Against the Thai TV. Hanna Yazgarska. See you soon.